My fiance is a single dad to Summer, a teen. Summer has an autoimmune disease and her mom isn't in the picture. Her dad spoils her rotten because of this. If dinner's already made but Summer wants something else, he orders it for her because she gets cravings. She doesn't do any chores around the house and I'm not allowed to ask her for help with anything. If she's been a brat, he excuses it because her medicines cause mood swings and she can demand all of his attention whenever she wants. Summer goes to one of those year-round schools, so instead of a 3-month summer break, they get like a month in the summer and they split the other 2 months up throughout the rest of the year. Because of this, she has a 4-week winter break. Summer was supposed to spend the first week of winter break on vacation with her friend and friend's mom. It was okay at first. I enjoyed spending time with my fiancé without her interrupting us every 10 minutes. But she still called when she woke up and before she went to bed and every few hours in between. She constantly complained that she missed him. This was the first time she's been away from him since her mom left. On day 4, we got a call from her friend's mom. Summer wasn't feeling well and wanted to go home. I answered the phone the first time and I asked the mom if she had a fever, was throwing up or was actually sick. The mom said she had no fever or anything, but she was tired and said she wanted to go home. I told her to tell Summer to stick it out and call us if she actually gets sick. Summer called her dad and said she didn't feel good and that I said she couldn't come home. He didn't even give me a chance to explain myself before kicking me out of the house and starting the 4-hour drive to the friend's cabin. When they got home, he told me he needed to rethink our relationship. I told him Summer is manipulating him now like she always does and listed examples of her using her illness to get what she wants with her dad. He told me not to contact him for the next few weeks while he thought about if he really wanted to marry me, and he hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the idiot for saying Summer is manipulative? You are the idiot. Whether or not she's spoiled, it's not on you to decide if Summer can come home or not. You're not the parent and you didn't make that decision based on parenting or helping the kid, but just because you didn't want her around. You're dating a man with a kid and no mother around. You're not always going to be the center of his attention. You need to grow up. Are you kidding me, OP? There could be 100 reasons that any kid on her first day away from a parent would want to come home even if she isn't feverish. You always go get the kid, no questions asked. Not your call and not the time or place to claim manipulation. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for the guy and kick this evil Disney stepmother out of his life. No one stops being a parent when they start dating again. Yep, OP is a fairy tale villain type stepmother material. This is his daughter in his house. Either suck it up until she's moved out or at college or ship out. Why not compromise, live separately and schedule dates when you will be the center of attention? You will not win trying to get between a parent and their child. That's really terrible advice. Parents don't just stop loving and supporting their children when they move out or turn 18, unless they're crappy people who don't love their children. OP just needs to ship out, period. The daughter is always going to be part of his life. If she's 19 and calls him in the middle of the night from the hospital or jail, he's not going to say, well, you're in college now, so just deal with it yourself. Good luck, champ. Clearly, you prefer that this kid not be around. I enjoyed spending time with my fiancé without her interrupting us. He's a dad. They're a package deal. You guys are not compatible. And honestly, your actions and attitude are unforgivable. My 25 male wife, 23, and I have a tradition every Christmas where we would bake Christmas cookies and frost them with our friends. We'd then give the cookies to friends, family, and helpers. Every year, my wife would take on the bulk of the baking duties, insisting that only she knew how to bake them right and only letting whoever is helping frost them. She always insisted on doing all the baking because the frosting was the fun part and the only thing people wanted to do. Usually, this frosting and baking marathon would last until the wee hours of the morning and start around noon. Well, this year, for reasons that aren't relevant to this post today, she would not be available on the day we normally do all of this. She was sad that we wouldn't be able to do our cookie tradition. I said that I was more than capable of baking the cookies. She seemed to think I was joking and could never do it myself. Well, I said I'd try, and she wished me a sarcastic good luck. Well, in the run-up to the days of baking and frosting, I start running drills to optimize production. Enter testing and tragic mistake montage. I started rearranging the house in various configurations, running tests on the dough we were using to see how long it took to bake, and making appropriate changes while running it by taste testers, substituting ingredients for quicker bake time while preserving taste, making the cookies as thin as possible without compromising frosting ratio, canvas space for creativity, and/or compromising structural integrity, etc. Come the day of baking, I have everything down to a science. As friends and family come in, I give them the rundown. After a couple of hours, most kinks are worked out and cookies are flying out at a breakneck pace. Eventually, we start running out of material, something that never happened under my wife's aegis. We start running to the store for the necessary raw materials to fuel our mighty cookie forges. By the time we were exhausted, around 2 a.m., we had produced at least 5 times the amount of cookies we had ever had before. Well, my wife gets home a couple of days later and is weirdly upset. She insisted the cookies tasted weird, that we spent too much money, and that I was actively trying to make her look bad by making so much more than her. In truth, I ran blind tests to see if anyone could differentiate between our old recipe and mine, and no one could. I also only spent 40% more than years previous as I slotted in some cheaper ingredients and bought some stuff in bulk, and I had absolutely zero intention of upstaging her. I simply had the goal of maximizing cookie production. She says that even if I didn't do it on purpose, I should have thought about how it made her look to run circles around her and embarrass her, and she actually called me an idiot. She's never called me an idiot in all 3 years of marriage, so I can't help but think I am. Am I the idiot? Edit. I'm also working on getting a degree in electrical engineering. I have pretty intense ADHD and I cook pretty often. Never really baked though. You are the idiot. So why did you deliberately try to make way more cookies than your wife and run blind taste tests to prove your point? Because if you just tried to help and did a good job and she was annoyed, I'd blame her. But you're bragging in this story about how you did a much better job with science and rigor, and there's no obvious explanation for why you were trying to outshine her. If this was her thing, and your goal was to prove you could do it better, then you do come across as the idiot. I noticed she said they tasted bad, you spent too much, you deliberately tried to make her look bad, and you only defended the first 2 points. I love how everyone just piles on this guy and completely ignores the belittling abusive comments by his wife before the event even happened. If a man said those things to his wife about something, everyone would be in here calling for divorce and therapy, but instead everyone jumping on the way to ruin a tradition for her bandwagon. OP, not the idiot. Someone talks down to you as if you're incapable and lesser than. Damn right, you proved them wrong by doing much more than. She also told him he is unable to make cookies and was bullying him for even thinking he could bake. Sounds like horrible stereotypes. And when he outdid her, she felt threatened because her thought process was, how dare a man be a better baker than me? But why are you guys turning something that sounds cool and fun, baking cookies, into something out of Gordon Ramsay? Because he is an engineer who has ADHD. All of the challenges of optimizing the Christmas cookies are just a picture of how his brain works. OP might not do things the way other people would, but that doesn't make him an idiot. Personally, I wouldn't want to be in that kitchen, but each to his own. I, 46 male, have a son, 18 in his senior year, who was with a girl 18 for 2 years from his school and they recently broke up. His ex-girlfriend is well-mannered and intelligent. My wife and I both adore her. Her parents are the same. However, they broke up at the end of October after they went to a Halloween party and she broke up with him. They've despised each other since and would be cold to or about each other, though he never explained the details of why they broke up and has been extremely hurt by this. A couple of days back, a number called me several times in the middle of the night and I answered. It was his ex-girlfriend. She was crying and mumbling. She was going on about her mother and it was all incoherent. She was clearly inebriated and I calmed her down. She was asking me if she could stay in the guest bedroom for the rest of the night and I told her that she could stay however long she saw fit. Me and my wife included her in breakfast the next morning even though she felt embarrassed, and my son joined us but was clearly flabbergasted by seeing her and was about to leave, though I encouraged him to sit with us. It was quite awkward to say the least, though it was evident they clearly still like each other, as I've seen her at our house. Finally, she cut her stay short as she said her parents would be worried and it was better if she started heading home. My son offered to drive her home, but she just said no thank you and left. As soon as she left, he got upset at both of us and wondered why was she here for breakfast. He told us that we were immensely invasive of a fragile space in his life and that I didn't respect his boundaries by letting her stay without his knowledge. He told me I should have warned him she would be here. I was wondering if I was the idiot for letting her stay, encouraging her to stay for breakfast, and proceeding to not tell him, as he was greatly upset by this. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Did you date anybody before your wife? Ever had an ex? How can you not get where he's coming from here? It's your son's ex. Why are you maintaining a relationship with them? It's weird. You also don't know why they broke up, so for all you know, you invited your son's abuser to breakfast. Are you kidding me? She may be 18, but she's still a teenager. A teenager who called a trusted adult for help when they needed it. I think OP should have warned the son about what was going on, especially as he doesn't know the details of what happened with the relationship. I don't think this is a set of parents who are overly invested in the kid's relationship. It's an adult who did their best to help a vulnerable girl in a potential emergency. Disagree. My mother did this to me with my ex. While I understand this is a tough situation, and my ex was in a tough situation as well, to an 18-year-old, I was the same age at the time, living with my ex put a big stain on my relationship with my mom. It made me feel like he was more important to her than I was. Especially because I was made to feel like an idiot for not wanting him there. After he left, he ended up stalking me, so the close proximity clearly wasn't healthy for him. Not that that's what would come of this situation, but I would hope that OP and the girlfriend would discuss if there were more options, and it's crappy to offer your home to someone without consulting everyone who lives there, including the son. My ex, 39 male, and I, 40 female, share a son, 20. We divorced when our son was 5 because my ex came out to me as gay. Right after our divorce, my ex became an absent parent for the next 6 years of my son's life. It wasn't until he settled down with his current husband that he became a way better person and an amazing father to our son, having him 50% of the time and taking care of him. Even if my ex forgot about our son for 6 years, his parents didn't. They disowned their son but still wanted to be a part of my son's life. They're wealthy, so my son never missed anything in his life. They even contributed to my son's college and are paying for his apartment and expenses, so he doesn't worry about finding a part-time job. They got him every type of toy from the ages of 3 to 10. Those are expensive and amazing toys for a child. My son was so careful as a child, so the toys are as good as new. They're all packed and saved in a room at my house, waiting for my future grandkids to play with their dad's old toys. Here's the thing. My ex married this man and had kids. The twins are toddlers, and my ex called to say that he wanted to pick up some of my son's old toys to give to his kids. I had to call my son to see if he was okay with this, and he told me he didn't really care and I could do what I wanted with the toys. So I told my ex that I decided to keep them for our future grandchildren because they're the ones who have the right to possess what their dad once owned. He called me a jerk for not letting his kids have the toys since my son doesn't really care much about them, and there are kids around who can play with them, and this was also a way to connect with their big brother. I mean, I think I'd be the idiot if they couldn't afford it, but come on, X's husband is a dermatologist and X is an engineer, so they can afford toys. My husband thinks I'm the idiot. The only reason is that they are unused now and some other kids could be playing, but there's also a chance these kids are not as careful as my son and can get them broken. Not the idiot, but your ex is. He's an amazing father. Are you kidding? Amazing father? Suddenly he remembers he has a kid after 6 years. He dumped his kid for 6 years and then came back. That doesn't make him anything but an incredible idiot. Then he's mad that you're not giving him toys that clearly don't belong to him and probably didn't pay for a dime since he abandoned you and your child. Don't care if he came out as gay. Has nothing to do with how he treated your son. Don't think twice about what he thinks of you. Don't give him anything. His new kids are his responsibility, not yours. The ex seems like a total idiot, and an entitled one at that. Notice in the post that he called OP and informed her he would be picking up the toys. He didn't even have the decency to ask his son first or be polite about it. Then he called her a jerk for not giving in to his demands. That's verbal abuse. It seems like he thinks the world revolves around him. He's probably just bitter that his parents cut him off financially when he abandoned his first family. I, 19 male, work as a mechanic and our uniform is a set of blue pants and a blue shirt, but our company's name is on the side and it is white with green accents, and I have a white lanyard for keys and stuff, and the lanyard part hangs out of my pocket. As for the story, I was recently invited to a family friend's wedding that I was kind of forced to go to, and during the reception, I got a call from a co-worker asking if I could come in a little earlier than I was planning to make up for him. He's made shifts up for me several times before, so not only did I owe him, I didn't really want to be there anyway. So I quickly changed, told the groom, the family friend, and he thanked me for coming and I left. His wife did look a little mad or annoyed at me, but I had to go, so I didn't really care. Later, I got a text from my sister telling me I made the bride angry and that she was mad I was wearing white. I was confused and said that the patch was the only white part. She said that the bride said the lanyard was too. I said that I had just said bye to the groom and I wasn't there for very long and that it was so small. She said that the rest of them were mad at me, and I did get a quite strongly worded message from the bride later. I told her she was ridiculous, as there was such little white it shouldn't matter at all, and it was just at the reception. She told me that I was being ridiculous, and some other family members and family friends were siding with her since it was her wedding day. I'm starting to think I'm an idiot since the invites did say no white very specifically. I guess I could have changed in my car or anywhere else after leaving, or I could have apologised to try and soothe the situation. Am I the idiot? OMG, not the idiot. Tell Bridezilla to get over herself. What you were wearing is no comparison to wearing white to someone's wedding. Not even a little bit. Maybe she was stressed. Maybe she was just a bridezilla, or probably both. But you did absolutely nothing wrong, and anyone who agrees with her is just as ridiculous as she is. But he outshone her in his white patch and white lanyard. How could anyone possibly tell she was the bride at this wedding and the focus of the happy event when OP dares to take attention away from her with his glamorous work overalls and lanyard? Damn, dude, you must have been pretty for people to mistake you for a bride. I wonder if she would be mad at me for wearing my very white skin to her wedding. A male with a white patch and a lanyard being mistaken for the bride? Unless we're missing out on some vital information, i.e. the lanyard was a diamante-encrusted 8-foot lace veil with the majority of it attached to your head, and only a tiny corner tucked into your pocket as you processioned out of the room humming "Here Comes the Bride," I think there's a strong possibility that she was being a complete idiot.